Hey guys, it's DevGMR and welcome to another complete game development video. So after a couple of weeks away, I finally managed to put together this video, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited. It's the first video I've put out after starting my game development with Unity online course. Now for those of you that have seen my last video, there wasn't much done in terms of actually making something besides a few simple objects, and I didn't really think much about it before, but getting that practice with creating simple game objects really drilled fundamental things into my head. For my first experience with Unity, I was overly concerned with making the right object with perfect positioning and a very specific color scheme. Now I see that being concerned over fine details early on can be a huge waste of time. It's better to leave that stuff for later in the life cycle of a project. Luckily, as I spend more and more time with Unity and learning from the course, things slowly become easier and easier. I also get more in touch with resources that are available and are undoubtedly going to be hugely important at one point or another. One of the biggest challenges I've typically had in my previous programming experience, most of which is Java, is being able to efficiently guide my way through complicated documentation. That's one problem I haven't really experienced with Unity's documentation. It's fairly well structured, and the naming is so clear that you won't need 20/20 vision to find what you're looking for. So, just a reminder, I recently started a Udemy course on Unity, and it's been extremely helpful with getting me a running start in game development. I was very deliberate when choosing this course, as I realized that a significant amount of time was going to be spent going through it. Remember, taking the time to thoroughly read reviews before buying a course will save you the cost of the course as well as the time it takes to do it. The very first project in the course gave a basic overview of C#. I decided to skip making a video for that project because it didn't really provide much for content, but at the same time I did want to bring up the fact that it focused on something very important. This was covering the fundamental topics in the C# programming language, including topics like functions, variables, operators, data types, and more. Many of these topics were already familiar to me, but if you haven't heard of them and are thinking about programming, they are very important. I mean, I can't stress how much emphasis should be placed on really getting basics down before jumping into big projects. Another thing I'd like to bring up is that the first project also helped me get used to programming in Visual Studio. For those of you who don't know, Visual Studio is an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, that is used for all types of technological development. It's very user-friendly, and I really appreciate the style and the layout. Moving on, the second project, which is what's going on in this video, is a neat little game called Project Boost. It's focused on a rocket ship that has to navigate its way through a map and onto a platform. Once the rocket ship reaches the platform, the player moves on to the next level. Now, I'd really like to have spent more time discussing the individual aspects of the project in this video, but I found that very difficult to do as the project was completed over 2 weeks ago and this video was created just a few hours ago. This was definitely a huge eye-opener for me in content creation. I learned that the sooner you can put videos together, the easier it is because things are still fresh in your head. Having said that, I decided that I'm going to make a second part for this video, which will show the completed version of the game, where I'll spend a little bit more time discussing certain game mechanics and things I wish I could have talked about earlier on. For this video, I wanted to highlight two things that were covered during the project and that I believe are very important to aspiring game developers. Number one is game development models. These are models that define a specific methodology towards game creation and define the approach that should be taken when creating a game. Number two is version control. For those of you who aren't familiar with version control, it's a system that allows you to record changes to your files. This way, if you make any mistakes in the future, which is generally bound to happen, you can easily revert your changes back to any save point in time. It's almost like in a video game where you can save your progress, except with version control, you can have several save files at multiple points in time and go back to any of them, literally whenever you want. For those of you who are curious, I'm currently using SourceTree as a version control tool. I found it a little bit tedious to set up and prepare, but after that, it's very intuitive and provides a beautiful and simplistic interface. So that sums up things that I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm currently in the process of creating the second part for this video to show the completed project and gameplay. So until then, be sure to subscribe and give this video a like. Thanks for watching.